Just for a little bit of background information, the one and only time that I've been out of the country was to go on a senior trip to France when I was in high school. A majority of our time was spent in the city of Paris, which plays host to numerous historical monuments such as the Notre Dame Cathedral, the Eiffel Tower, and the Louvre. On April 15th, one of these monuments received significant damage in a fire. The spire collapsed and virtually erased thousands of years of French architectural integrity while also charring the stony base of the chapel. Though no one was hurt, the ordeal dealt a significant blow to France and her people. What confused me was why I felt like I had been so significantly impacted by the ordeal as well. I'm not French and I'm not Catholic. I had no idea why I was so overtaken with emotion. What was so different about my experience in France that nobody else had experienced? How could I become so attached to something that I hadn't seen in years and had only spent time around once? Ultimately, the conclusion that I came to is that after being raised in a family that values tradition, I garnered an appreciation for other cultures that have long-standing tradition. I've found that the passing of practices between parents and peer groups propels people past problems and allows them to pragmatically prognosticate. To serve as an example of passing of tradition, you can think of the Founding Fathers and what they did to separate the United States from British tyranny in 1776. Little did they know when they signed this document on July 4th that millions of Americans would go crazy on this day on an annual basis. They got the party started almost 250 years ago, and we haven't looked back since. The name of the first frenzied freedom fighter to fling flaming firecrackers in the name of American independence remains a mystery. Yet this practice has been cemented into yearly American life whenever it comes to celebrating American independence. You can buy a package of Black Cats out in the sticks for about $10, but there's nothing like sitting under the fireworks with your family to celebrate your country's independence. Another widely practiced tradition in American households is exchanging gifts on Christmas. Christmas, of course, is a Christian holiday that coincides with the coming of Christ. It is also the cornerstone of the White Elephant gift exchange, which is sure to make any office incredibly uncomfortable. But this practice is not strictly for Americans. While the holiday is centered mostly around the birth of Christ, every country has its own individual story on where gifts come from. You hear about Santa Claus and St. Nicholas, but that's just the Americanized version of our spin of things. These figures are used to garner a feeling of giving and happiness, and sometimes to get children to act right whenever it's not the Christmas season. Another tradition that's a little bit more exclusive to the area is the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. Every year in January and February, riders and ropers from all around show up to show off their skills and their stock. All the while they serve as entertainment for the people in the crowd. This long-standing Fort Worth tradition has taken place for over 100 years in the Will Rogers Coliseum. And that's the exact place where me and my family sit and watch every year. That's what makes this tradition a little bit more special to me, is because it hits so close to home. No matter what we have going on in our lives, we can all drop what we're doing and enjoy the rodeo together as a family. You've had the same seats in the same box for 4 generations now, and someday my children will sit there too. These are just 3 of the traditions that have been culturally ingrained in me through my parents. These practices help me establish my cultural base and allow me to show pride for who I am. However, after exhibiting these practices for many years, it's easy to kind of get caught up and then lose track of who you are. Understanding other cultures allows you to be more reflective in your appraisals of your own. To better appreciate your own culture among others, it is imperative to understand Jonathan Haidt's rider and elephant metaphor. The rider serves as the rationale, while the elephant serves as the emotional component. Together they are supposed to guide your path, but admittedly, sometimes the elephant takes over a little bit too much. The elephant and the rider closely resemble Daniel Kahneman's 2 systems of thinking, with System 1 being a little more instinctive and System 2 being a lot more conscious. Understanding both of these processes is vital to garnering a better understanding of the culture you're submerging yourself in whenever you do submerge yourself into a different culture. Flashing back to the beginning, that's what gave me a better understanding of the French traditions whenever I submerged myself into their culture. The better understanding of French culture and traditions was at the root of my sympathy for the Notre Dame fire. Understanding French pride in the Notre Dame helped me understand my own pride in the stock show, celebrating the 4th of July, and celebrating Christmas with my family. Whenever you use your System 2 processing or your writer perspective, it makes you hungry to learn more about other cultures. It's almost as if learning about others makes you more proud of yourself. Taking pride in your own culture almost seems like a stepping stone into appreciating other cultures. Perhaps that's why they call it the travel bug, because once you get bit, then you start to itch. The itch can be satisfied in numerous ways, including submerging yourself into a different culture and learning about their history. Time doesn't run backwards and history can't be rewritten, which makes it all the more important to appreciate the past and how it's gotten us here. In turn, every day is another opportunity to create your own kind of history. Every day is a different opportunity. We don't even need to travel that far to submerge ourselves into a different culture. People in the next state over could be living a completely different life than we are. TCU could serve as a reminder for that concept, seeing as we are all part of the same student body, yet we hold so many differences. Everyone enjoys different music, different types of movies, even different kinds of sports. I've been able to look into a different culture from my own home by watching the local hockey team more. Dallas-Fort Worth is labeled as a non-traditional hockey market because of how far south it is. However, it can also be seen as an agent that brings together people that would not normally have met. There's no better way to bring people from different cultures together than uniting them with a common goal. Sweet, sweet victory. Furthermore, there are numerous benefits from taking a cultural look in the mirror and having an appraisal for your own culture among others. This concept enables your System 2 processing to keep your writer and your elephant on the same track. Keeping those two on the same page helps you develop a better, more positive worldview, one that is more open to experience. This openness will lead to a better appreciation for different cultures and traditions no matter the situation. This mutual appreciation will lead us to rebuild rather than tear each other down in a time when tragedy strikes. In turn, we can use tragedies like the Notre Dame fire to galvanize humanity across all cultures.